Let me see. Testing, testing. Are we good? Can y'all hear me? Yeah, my bad. For some reason, my mic isn't working. So, had to navigate that. But let me go ahead and get situated and we'll kick things off. Yes, things are changing in the real estate world, which is why I'm popping up and I'm here today. Generally, if y'all know, I'm here every 2 weeks. But there's some important news that I think y'all all should know, and I wanted to make you all aware of it so that every single person in here can take advantage of it. And if you don't know what it is, it's all about your credit. So, if you have good, you got bad, or you're just trying to improve your credit to be able to qualify for a mortgage, this is the stream that you want to definitely tap into because they may be good news depending on what exactly you do with your finances and whatnot. So, if there is anybody else as well that you know can take some of this information away and use it to their benefit, then this is the opportunity to share with them. Hey, this is a stream that's going on here where we're talking about real estate and specifically mortgage loans and the credit that's involved in it. But let me go ahead and continuously get situated. While we're doing that, let me know where you guys are all tapping in from, cities that you guys want me to look at specifically, or if you're on the replay, hashtag replay. You know how that goes. So I can shut you out next time, especially if you tapped into the room on the live. It's a different type of vibe I think you can give me like at that point in time. Uh, I thought I was already set up. All right, I think I'm pretty much good to go. But yep, if you guys don't know, the government has officially put their hand in the pot. And depending on which side you're on, it could be a really good thing or it can be a really bad thing, depending on exactly, like I said, which side you're on. Generally speaking, when they put their hand in the pot, that's when things start to really get stirred, whether in a good or bad. Honestly speaking, too much hands in the pot, you start stirring it, bad is probably going to come from it. But hopefully nothing really does come back from anybody that is watching this stream here, because that means you are fully equipped, you're ready to go, you know exactly what's going on, you know how to take advantage of certain situations and changes that do occur in the real estate market or industry in itself. So I'm just going to forewarn you on what things that may occur, may change, but Vantage Score, right? So that's, I don't know if you guys know what Bill Pulte is. He's a builder, actually. But most people are going to know him as the FHFA director. So he made an announcement that pretty much stated that they're going to be able to utilize a different type of credit scoring to be able to give more individuals, at least the goal is to give more individuals access to be able to qualify for a home. Now, the reason why this is important is because right now they don't use anything like utility payments, um, rent payments is the big one to be able to qualify. I think there's another one that they're going to start using. But we're really going to focus on the rent payments just because, again, that's a lot of people that I do know. You guys are going from renting to go ahead and purchasing or owning an aspect. So we'll talk a little bit about more, but I really want to dive into the challenges that will come from this, just so you guys are well equipped and well versed on knowing how to navigate this. At least the challenges I see now. They're stating this is immediately going to take place, but no one's really ready for this, and we'll really tap into all of that. And when I say no one's really ready, I'm really talking about everyone involved in the mortgage industry, right? I'm talking lenders. We'll get into it. There's a whole list of people that I know that are like, some are excited, some are like, all right, well, when do we start doing this? How do we go about doing this? It's just too much that's going on. But one of the things I do want to show you before we go ahead and get started, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just so you guys can see, because one of the questions that I genuinely get is, is my market in a seller's market, or am I able to negotiate here, or can I get a deal, or whatever the case may be. So came across this article. It was by Wall Street Journal, and they actually shared what the worst markets in America is. And at least this here doesn't really specifically tell you about one. I don't think all of them are in a bad market. The one that specifically was on that list, the Wall Street Journal article, was Cape Coral, or Fort Myers, I guess in this case. But these are all of the areas that you will find a motivated seller that you can go ahead and take advantage of. So go ahead, take a screenshot, do what you got to do with this. Don't ever say I hide information, because I'm giving you guys the information. I'm giving you the game on where you can go ahead and get your opportunities and your deals. You guys should be able to see this pretty well, but if you can't, I'll zoom in for you. Oops, don't want to do that much. All right, so these also, I will say, and I should have been clear about saying this from the jump. Although this looks pretty good because maybe your market's on this, and now you're thinking, oh yeah, I can get a deal, I can go ahead and negotiate. This could mean also further declines. So be cautious. I mean, you don't want to get caught in a situation where you are legitimately making an offer on a home. Sure, you probably got a nice little deal, but then the appraisal comes in even lower, right? And you do not want to put yourself in that situation, because at that point you're literally going to be underwater the second, because not underwater on the mortgage in a sense, but you just essentially overpaid for a mortgage that, or a loan or a home that the bank wasn't willing to give you 100% or whatever percentage of down payment that you figured out with them. So just be cautious, be careful. Appraisal issues can still occur and probably will arise if you don't navigate that situation properly. Because in those markets specifically, as I mentioned, those are markets where their prices are pretty high and sellers are motivated to the point where obviously it's not looking good for them. But if you guys didn't already, let me know where you guys are tapping in from. What questions you guys even have throughout the stream. If you guys do see or going through something I'm talking about and you're like, I don't understand, or whatever the case may be, shoot the question away. That way I can answer it right then and there. And if you don't watch it, if you're not watching live and you watch on a replay, same thing goes. Shoot the question away. That way I can answer it the next time, or maybe even answer it right then and then on the spot. Depends on the question in itself. But let me know what you guys are watching in from, so I can go ahead and give you guys a little bit more, especially if there's if you're hyper local, at least most people are hyper local watching in one specific area. I'll just focus on that area a little bit more, right, to give you guys the information, especially those that want to show up and get the information. So let me know where you guys are from, but let's go ahead and dive right into this article in itself, just so we can touch bases and really understand what's going on when I say they're giving you an opportunity to get qualified for a mortgage. So if you don't know, alright, we're going to mute the entire site. Look at this. Ads everywhere. So yes, as you guys can see, very loud and upfront. The rent payments could help you qualify for it. So reason why I really want to go over this is because there's a lot of conversation around this that I even had to do digging on to better understand if this is good, if this is bad, what are the challenges, who can actually take advantage of this. And it's more or less, I would say, not so much of maybe you do pay rent, and because right now essentially let me backtrack. So right now you're unable to really use your rent unless if one or two scenarios is occurring, right? If the person you're renting from is even reporting it. So I found that as like one of the biggest issues that I found, right? Are the rent payments are they being reported to those credit bureaus? If not, then you're just, not saying you're throwing money out the window, but it's one of those things where you won't be able to leverage your rent payments to go ahead and qualify. And I think this is, I love the fact that they're even allowing this and they're giving everyone the ability to do this, because this is going to give people the ability, especially if rents is more expensive in the area that you're in comparison to if you were to purchase, which I actually have a few pages or charts on that to show you where are rents more expensive, so or even cheaper. So if you wanted to navigate that situation, you'd be good to go there, and understanding what is your choices in terms of financing. But if we go ahead and go back to this, right, by being able to use your rent to qualify, that's only going to enable, right, it's going to give you one credit history for those individuals that are like, yeah, I don't want a credit card, I don't like that, I don't like nothing, I don't even want a car loan, right? For those individuals in itself, this is where it becomes extremely helpful, because right now, if you don't have any of those things, you don't have any credit. And every single lender is going to want you to have some sort of credit to see how responsible are you financially. And so I believe that this rent payment, allowing it and being able to report it and being able to use that to be able to qualify is going to help. Not only that though, not only is it going to help you build credit history, but let's just say your rent payment is what, 2,000, right? And you've been consistently hitting that with no problem for the past 2 years. That's gonna look really good for a lender. They're gonna be like, okay, well clearly you have no issue with paying $2,000 a month on a rental payment. So if your mortgage payment is around that or cheaper, then you should really have no issue. If in fact it should be a little bit more better for you. So the qualification is going to really help on that front. But again, I'll go back and say, if the landlord is not reporting it, that's like all of this goes to just garbage. Like, and I think right now, at least I spoke to a buddy of mine, and I gave him, because he's in the market right now. He's like, yo, I'm looking, and he's just preparing himself, as everybody should really be doing, right? Preparing yourselves. You just don't jump into the market. You prepare yourself for whatever it is that you may do, so you're well equipped to go ahead and take advantage of it. But I had a conversation with him. I was like, hey, make sure your landlord is reporting it. And he told me, yeah, they're doing that already. And I was like, oh, wow. This is well before they even made this announcement in itself. So that was really good on that landlord in itself. But I will say it was an institutional buy. It was an institutional buy, a renter or a landlord in this case. So it does seem like institutionals, landlords are doing it more rather than your small mom and pop. So that's the only thing I would say, right? Getting the small mom and pops to, and when I say mom and pops, I'm talking like a individual, someone who bought a home themselves and then eventually just turned it and started to rent it out. Those are going to be the individuals where I say, if they're not reporting, that's going to be really bad, because it's a process, I'm sure, right? It's not gonna be like I hope it's a click of a button, like everything else in this world. But I don't think it's gonna be like that, just because I mean this is not gonna be an easy task. But as I mentioned, as you guys can see, right? So credit history will no longer just include credit cards or loans. It's meant to include as well rental payments, which is really good, right? So if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac starts to use that, then that's going to be extremely helpful. I did see though that the VA and FHA, I don't know if they're going to start utilizing this immediately. I think again, there's a lot of workarounds on all of this and everything I'm mentioning now, right? This is all, I shouldn't say hypothetical, but it's more or less something you should prepare yourself for. I would say in the next 18 to 24 months. Right. Unfortunately, this is not going to, and if it does take effect immediately, then I mean, if it does start to help individuals immediately, that's going to be extremely helpful. But right now, that's not what is the case, because I don't want to get too complicated with it, but let's just say there's like a formula that is entered into whatever system, because I'm not a lender, so, or if you're a mortgage lender or you know a mortgage lender right now and you're tapping into this, let me know. But as far as what I know, there's like a model or a system that all they do is just enter your information and it just kind of spits out whether you're qualified, how much, what you got to do, what can't you do, yada yada yada, and then a third. But if you got any questions, let me know as I continue to go through this. And one thing I do want to mention, I won't talk about this just in depth, but this is something to take a note of too. Not only are they allowing for rental payments to be, considered nowadays, but they also, I don't know if you see it here, right? They're actually talking about allowing cryptocurrency to be considered as an asset to be able to help individuals qualify as well. Now that hasn't really gone into full effect. It's just talks and conversations, and of course I'm not going to talk too much about it, just because again it's talks and conversations. It's not nothing that was implemented or at least was pushed to move the needle forward. So we'll leave that as is, but just know that's a possibility as well. I think that will take a little bit longer because of the amount of risk the amount of risk that is involved in doing something of that nature, but we shall see. Okay, so let's see. He pulled that, yes, that's great. So previously, and I mean, this is not going to really apply. It's not too much of a big problem, but Previously, homebuyers credit was only based on FICO scores, which I think they're still going to do that. They're just allowing, I think, advantage scores to be now incorporated into it. As you can see right here, see that advantage score to be incorporated. So it does seem like Vantage Score is going to be the one that is going to be pulling the rental payments in itself. I didn't read anything that said anything about Experian. What's the other one? Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, I think it is. Of any of them pulling that, it's basically Vantage Score that is going to be the one. In fact, let's read this right here because this is important. In 2022, the FHA began allowing first-time home buyers to use their positive rental payment history to help qualify them for an FHA loan, otherwise known as. So in 2022, they started allowing it. I don't even know if that's been in effect because, yeah, this all of this really just started having conversation. I was on a call not too long ago. In fact, I forgot when, it was like a couple of weeks ago, and they actually were talking about it even more. That's now it's becoming more of a conversation. So if you're in the market now, this is a good opportunity for you to make sure that your rental payments are even being reported. Because if they're not, then there's not much that anybody is going to do, right? It's not like at that point in time, and the whole saying, right, when you're renting, you're throwing money away, right? That's essentially going to continue. But now it's kind of reversing itself. But let's go ahead and go back to this. So if the housing regulator expands this into non-FHA or even repeat buyers, it would be a game changer. I 100% agree. But if you're a repeat buyer, then I don't think you should have access to this. Personally speaking, I mean, how are you renting if you're a repeat buyer? Literally. But experts believe that Pulte's latest announcement, however, is a welcome development as it would create more movement and activity in the housing industry. Ha! So now you guys are probably wondering how, right? It's going to bring more buyers into the mix. That's really it. I don't think it does help at all in terms of sellers and getting them to start moving. And because most sellers now, I mean, I have these conversations religiously where people are like, yeah, I have a 2 or 3% rate. And I was like, are you moving? Every person I are you moving? And they all look at me like I'm crazy. I got 5 different heads now. Because every single one of them are not moving. They're just bragging about the right of having an interest rate that probably nobody is ever going to see in their lifetime again. Come on, what are you doing? So that's that, right? I think it's going to be more movement on the buyer side, but is it going to be more movement on the sellers? Probably not, which still enables this affordability crisis problem that we have, right? Not enough, well, right now it's not enough buyers, a lot of sellers, but even then, you bring more buyers into the mix to allow them to qualify, they're still gonna be constrained on the seller side, right? Is sure there's maybe enough options out there now, but is it going to be the options that's making a buyer move forward with it at the price that they're looking for? So, I mean, this can get real deep real quickly, but as of May, the typical U.S. household would need to spend about 44.6% of their income to afford a median price home, according to that's great. I think I'm gonna wrap this article here up because they're really not giving me anything else that I wanted to discuss with you. I do want to go ahead and talk about the bad and the challenges that I do see. I think this is a really good thing. Of course, when it actually happens, and that's the big question mark. You know, when it actually happens. They said in 2022 that FHA allowed it, so I would have to fact check that specifically because this is the first time I'm seeing that or hearing that, or even seeing or hearing lenders speak on that. So that I would have to get back to y'all and let y'all know. But I will say this is the time to challenge, right? So if it's happening back then, if this has been something that FHA or even VA has been incorporated and allowed since 2022, then that means all you have to do is make sure that your rental payments are being reported. That way you can go ahead and utilize it, because it does seem like some places are already pulling their venture score. So if they're pulling the venture score, then that means you're good to go. And something else I did see is right now, because I don't know if you guys know, but and I think I have this later that I'll touch upon. But if you guys don't know, I know there was a lot of discussion about, oh, this is gonna lower the cost of credit reports. So, and if it does that, that means it's gonna help with closing costs. But I read that unfortunately, Venture Score is owned by the three bureaus. Man, it's not the three bureaus, but it's owned by one company that literally has the three bureaus. I forgot what company it was. I was like, how in the world are you going to lower the? I was like, oh man, that was disgusting. That's all I was saying. Disgusting in a way where it's like, how are you going to allow for a lesser amount, or at least want a lesser amount of credit scores, but the people who are literally giving them, who are putting the number or the dollar amount on the credit scores now still own what it is that, yeah, I'm not gonna even, yeah, it's just, it's not gonna allow for, let's just play, it's not going to allow for a lower credit score, I mean a lower closing costs, because you are paying for your credit report to be pulled regardless, right? There's no way around it, and if I'm not mistaken, you're paying that's easily like $500-600 that you're easily having to pay up in closing costs to be able to pull your credit report to go ahead and allow the lender to do whatever it is that they got to do. So unfortunately, that's not going to be a good thing. It doesn't seem like it's going to budge on that prices. If anything, it might just continuously do what it does in everywhere else, go up. So we shall see. But is there anything else that is bad that I'm missing that I should have touched upon? Yeah, I mean this is a big one. So if you're late on your payments, that's gonna be horrendous, right? So I don't know how that's gonna report, but again, this is not the time. If you're gonna go ahead and report your rental payments, then this is not the time to be playing around with your rental payments and being late with it. So definitely stay on top of that. Also, if you're paying in cash, this is because again, it's not traceable, and so I would say, better switch it up. Now I don't know what financial advice I can give. I can't even give you financial advice honestly, but switch that up and try to do it where it's at least going through your bank, right? Or maybe have it go through the same exact bank and showing that the withdrawals, because you could possibly even use that as a way to be like, hey, this is my rental payment, and of course the landlord you can use your lease payment or your lease agreement to be able to confirm the dollar amount. So if you're using cash, I would say try to get away from that as quickly as possible, just because I think it's going to be a little bit more advantageous and allow for you that seamless from the lender to be able to verify that, okay, that's what the money went to, and they won't ask you all these different sort of questions, because yeah, you'll go through it, especially when an underwriter gets your information and starts that they're gonna ask you like so much information. You're gonna probably be wondering, why are y'all so nosy? Literally, I kid you not. Every person that I speak to that's going through this process for maybe the first time or hasn't done it in a long time, they're like, man, why are they asking me all these personal questions for? It's like, yeah, they want to know where every single penny has gone, whether it's coming in, whether it's going out, what was it going out for. So if you're doing the cash aspect thing, I would say try to get away from that as quickly as possible, so that everything can kind of be a little bit more smooth and you won't have any issues when it comes to the lending. But will this all help? Of course. And I don't know if this is going to be the case. Hopefully, it actually does increase and help your credit score, because right now we know, right, most of your credit is based off of credit history, and of course your utilization, your payments, whether you're on time. I think I said payments, so that's that. But I would assume that it should help. At least it should help with the credit history, which it's more or less going to help those individuals with no debt, no credit cards, no car loans, no loans at all. So that is that. But I'll go to what my concerns are. Because there's no good thing that's going to occur with, no concerns. No, at least no problem. So my concern is really, are individuals who are in the industry ready for this? Realtors included, right? Or real estate agents included. Are y'all ready to advise clients like, hey, report? I'm just sharing it with y'all now. I hope enough people hear this, see this, to be able to, or even share this with the masses, so that everybody is well equipped or well aware of this occurring, because this is an opportunity that I think may miss out on a good opportunity for it. Like this could literally be the game changer to help somebody qualify and not qualify, literally. But also, are loan officers ready? Are underwriters ready? Are those lenders ready to create whatever model it is that they have to create? So when the loan officer enters all this information, it actually it's not something that they have to do manually. Because I'm sure that if it's occurring right now, it's something that is being done manually. And I don't know about you, but I don't know no one who likes to do manual work anymore. Also speaking, if you put down less than 20%, right? Mortgage insurance providers, are they ready for this? I already know Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac aren't ready for this because they literally every article you read there, everyone's saying, are they even ready for this? Again, this was something that just came out of nowhere. Although it was probably conversations internally, but everybody didn't really know about it until Bill Pulte, I think his name is. I don't know why I'm calling him by his first name. Pulte made that announcement, which you can actually go on his Twitter or X account and see where he made the announcement in itself about it being about it taking place. But the last thing I will say is there was about my concerns is there was something that they changed. It was like TRID. I don't know what the exact. I should probably find it right now while we're talking. But they made that change, or at least they implemented that change, and that took 18 months to really come into effect. So that is the what's the acronym for that? Okay, so the Truth in Lending Act for real estate in real estate. Okay, so that, if I'm not mistaken, is referring to okay, so that is RESPA. So basically, enabling you as a buyer to know where exactly every single dollar went to. So that took about 18 months to take in effect, right? So I don't know. I mean, this seems good. It sounds real good, but when you start to really look at things, you're like, man, this is gonna take a very long time to actually take effect. To the point where it's like, man, is are people gonna be even ready and waiting for this? I mean, it's gonna help. Essentially, if your stuff is not getting reported now, then that's gonna be good because then you can allow that credit history to build up. Which, when I say if it's being reported, your rental. So go check your credit scores. I mean, your credit reports wherever you check your credit. Also, if you use Credit Karma, nah, this is no slight to them, but yeah, a lot of people don't use them as a reputable source. Let's just put it like that. I'll use nice terms for today, but I do want to talk to you guys and let you, not even talk to you guys, but let you guys know about what markets are currently, what the rents for, where the rents are, what the rents are, and what the cost would be if you were to get a mortgage on a home. Because like again, this may help in certain markets better than others, right? If somewhere like San Francisco, I don't think it's going to be really helpful because your rent is it's a lot more expensive than, I mean, we're talking about $1,400 of a difference in terms of rent in comparison to your mortgage. So is that going to really help you? Probably not, because you're probably still renting. And I think it all depends on if you really want to purchase at that point. But also another place, Bridgeport, Connecticut, New York, so San Jose, LA, Curious Joel. Where is this in New York? Which is not that big of a difference. $900. I'm saying that like I have $900 to just throw out the window like that. Hawaii, Rhode Island, Providence. So we'll go through just so you guys can kind of see if your place lands on this list in itself. But you know, if your rent is a little bit less or a lot less than your mortgage payment, then generally speaking, most people are just continuing to rent, unless if they have a different motive or alternative as far as why they need to go to purchase. But this still will help you in a sense because it's allowing you to see exactly like for instance, if we look at Cincinnati, Ohio, if their median rent is 1,100 and their mortgage cost is about 1,600, and I don't know. Let me see if I can find out real quick what price point they're using. I'll find it later. Right. So if we go back to the Cincinnati, Ohio, right, someone that's paying 1,100 in comparison now, their mortgage payment is going to go up to about 1,600. Right. Somebody like that may not. Someone like that may have their 1,100 if they can show that, yeah, I can make my 1,100 payment with no issue. The only thing that you have to do here to get this to be lower is the cost, the price of the home, and the mortgage rate, right? So you can either shoot down the price of the home, whatever it's listed at, or just go to the mortgage rate and pay that down, or try to get some sort of concessions on that front. But here are some other markets. I'll go ahead and go through this list entirely just so you guys can see what's going on here. In the meantime, let me know if you guys do have any questions specifically about what I'm going through right now. If you're just now popping in the room, you just know, I'll state it real quickly, but your rental payments is now officially going to be allowed. Now, how long is it going to take for that to actually take effect? It all depends on the landlord. I know some people are getting their look at this, North Carolina, about $300 difference, right? So at that point in time, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but $300, I'm out of there. Like, this is really, it's close. It's really close to, I mean, to the point where it's $300. If $300 literally is the difference between someone making a rental payment and either missing their mortgage payment or making their mortgage payment, they're just not ready for home ownership right now, just to be really transparent on it. So the difference, the closer it gets, or the smaller the difference is, that's really good for you. Oh, look at that. Good old Raleigh. Good old Raleigh. You got Atlanta, Georgia. Interesting. Okay. I did not expect Atlanta, Georgia to be on this, at least not closer to the end. And then we have all of these areas that are in a terrible market right now, literally. I don't know if Orlando is, but I know for a fact Phoenix, I know Cape Coral, Tampa, and we have Charlotte up there on that list as well. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll go ahead and answer any of them. In the meantime, I want to share with you guys where real estate trends are right now supposed to be going based off of what the experts are saying. And I actually share with you, because I know I mentioned earlier in the stream that institutional buyers, I keep saying institutional buyers, institutional landlords are the ones that are doing most of the reporting. So you may not know if you're renting from an institution, but you should know this. So if you don't, I'll drop some names just so you can be fully equipped and fully aware. But here's where prices are expected. Well, let me. Prices are expected, right, to go. So as you guys can see, prices are not going to be declining over the long. At least this is what people are forecasting. And if they do decline, it's probably just going to be a short-term thing. So if you see a market like Cape Coral, one of the worst markets based off of Wall Street Journal is mentioning, then maybe it's time for you to just take advantage of that opportunity, of that small dip that is going on. But like I said, tread lightly, because if you get yourself into appraisal issues now, I mean, you on your own now. But here's clearly what's going on, and here's another one, right? So I know a lot of you guys want a crash, which unfortunately it doesn't seem like a lot of people are banking on a crash occurring, just because of, and I don't either, just because, and yeah, sure, I'm biased, call it what you want, but when you have supply that is still lower than pre-COVID levels, then there's not much you can do there, right? People are still holding on. Nobody is really trying to rush to sell, unless if it's a fire sale. And when I say fire sale, a lot of people are just looking to sell at the same time. Then sure, then I'll go ahead and I'll come on this live stream, whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, let you all know, hey, the time is here. The time has arrived. Because even I would be running into the market. But I think you can also figure it out, because if mortgage rates start to kind of come down a little bit, a lot sooner and faster, then that's a telltale sign that something's breaking. But here's your opportunity. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but connect with a real estate agent to be equipped, to be well aware of what's going on in that local market that you are looking in. And if you do need any assistance on that front, just I think it's in the description. You should see it next to like referral, agent referral, something of that nature, where I can connect you to someone that I've vetted myself. So to be able to ensure that they can take care of you and understand what's going on in their market in itself. So go ahead, if you need any assistance there, do that so that you can go ahead and get excuse me, well taken care of, and you know that you are not going to be getting taken advantage of. You should be the one on the buyer side to be doing hey, I need to take advantage of this, and the third. But what should you really be doing right now? That's a really good question, because, as I mentioned all throughout the stream, continue to maintain your credit first and foremost. Don't just. Sometimes I hear conversations of people like, yeah, I don't have the greatest of the credit score. It's like, man, what were you doing? So just really stay on top of that, as much as possible. I mean, that's should be self-explanatory, but I understand if things don't work out to your advantage or your favor, then it is what it is. You got to just navigate and work through the scenario at that point. But regularly check your credit score as well for good or bad information, especially if you don't know if, in fact, while I'm speaking on this, if you don't know if your rental payments is being reported, then keep checking. Make sure you are alerting whoever it is that you're renting from. Hey, report it. Try to urge them and get them to do it, because that's only going to help you in the long run. In fact, as I mentioned, here are some of the institutional buyers or landlords that may be in your market, right? So Invitation Homes, Progress Residential, American Homes for Rent, First Key Homes, Amherst, Tricon Residential, Home Partners of America, and Vinebrook Homes. So there's plenty of more, right? But these are some of the big ones, the ones that were buying a lot during, I would say, 2021, right? These are some of the big names that were, and probably where you're renting from. So if they are not reporting, this could be a good opportunity to reach out, tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, I need this, because in a year or two, that could be really helpful information, especially if it's a credit, especially if you're on the top of it and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're being responsible on that front in terms of financially. It's going to really help you go ahead and get qualified for that loan. And I'm curious to know, like, even if you have a bad credit score, this is actually going to help you increase your credit score if you have a pretty bad one. But another thing, if you are in the process, then I would again reach out to that loan officer, that lender, and say, hey, is this something that you guys allow? There was a specific name. I don't remember. I'm trying to find it right now. But let's just say, just simply ask them, are you guys allowing rental payments to be used to qualify me for a mortgage, right? Something of that nature will tell a lender or loan officer a little bit more. Man, there was a specific name or term that I was even told to use to be able to tell my buyers or my clients, hey, speak to lenders and speak to loan officers and ask them these questions. So I don't remember off the top of my head. So just like, hey, excuse me, are you allowing for rental payments to be allowed for, or do you have the model? I don't know, something of that nature, right? Are you allowing rental payments to be included in the qualification for my mortgage? Something like that. You should be able to get away with, and they should know. If they don't know what you talking about, I'm sorry, but you might have to turn around, walk through those doors, and find another person. Or if you're not walking in anywhere, you might have to just call the next person. Right? You're gonna have to do the vetting, especially if you're not connected to a real estate agent that already has somebody like that. So, and then another thing you should be doing, I don't know how many of you actually check your credit score religiously, and I don't know where you're checking it, but I would say, and this is not a sponsor or anything of that nature, but this is what most lenders are asking me, right? Hey, because again, when I speak to lenders, and I tell them like, yeah, this person probably has like about this credit score based off of what they're telling me, they immediately say, all right, are they looking on Credit Karma? No one likes Credit Karma because it's not really up to date or it's not really accurate, right? So go on your Experian, right? That is free. Now, of course, it may be a little bit of a delay there, but Experian.com, you are able to look at your credit score, and that's a little bit more up to date. So check there at least. But you can even take it a step further if you don't know. Again, this is not a sponsorship or nothing of that nature. I'm just trying to give you information to be able to assist you, making sure that you do get, that you can get close to getting qualified, or you can get qualified just by doing these small little steps and preparing yourself. But go to annual credit report. They actually allow you, if you don't know, to pull, and I'll share my screen just so you guys can see what it's like. I'm not going to show you a credit report just because you guys, if you look at your credit report, you should know what it looks like. But this is the website in itself, just so you don't end up somewhere else and they try to charge you for a credit report, because annual credit report gives you one free credit report every single year, every 12 months, to be a little bit more specific. So as you guys can see here, right, request your free credit reports. At least do this, right? This is like this easiest task that you could probably do. Sure, you might have to enter a little bit of information, but at least you're getting something that's going to give you a little bit of guidance on where you even stand. So that's annual credit report. Utilize it. It's not going to hurt you in itself. But I do, like I mentioned, want to allow you to all to be aware, right? So if you are looking at your credit report, again, the more information that's on it, the more you can be subject for answering a lot of questions from the underwriter or even having your identity taken. Unfortunately, I shouldn't be laughing at that because that's like real life, and that actually happens to people. But check for identity errors, as that could impact your qualification, because again, if the wrong information is there, then you want to have a clean credit report, just to allow the lender to not count things that don't really matter or that's not you, right? I don't know how often is it that someone that's a junior or the third, right, is constantly getting their information on their pops or whoever, but that's a real thing. So check it just to make sure everything is good. Here's some sort of information, that you can check for incorrect reporting accounts, right? So here, so closed accounts reported as open, right? That's a big one, because that's going to help your DTI, your debt to income, right? If you have an actual closed account that is still showing that it's open on your credit report, and it's a loan, let's just say, then the lender is going to be like, well, that's included in your debt to income ratio, but if it's in fact closed, then it shouldn't be. So it's only going to hurt you if you have closed accounts showing as they're still open. So just stay on top of this. And I'm only sharing all this with you because these are things that most people don't do, honestly. But you are reported as the owner of an account when you're actually just an authorized user, right? Again, it's just going back to debt to income, monthly payments. All that stuff is going to show up on your account. So you want to make sure all that stuff is right even before you reach out to a lender, because that way you will have the least amount of friction possible to be able to assist you on purchasing a home. But accounts that are incorrectly reported as late or delinquent, you for sure want to fix that, because that's going to actually hurt your credit score in itself. Incorrect date of last payment, date of open, or date of first delinquency. You don't have no delinquency, guys. Same debt listed more than once. Okay, cool. Check for data management errors, right? Accounts with incorrect current balance. Accounts with an incorrect credit limit. That's going to help your utilization. But those are some things that you could go ahead and take a look at to see if any of those do occur. Then you may want to fix that, right? Because what your mortgage lender is going to want from you, which is an interesting thing that a lot of people still do not know this, which I don't think you guys all should remember this. You know, you should have a partner or somebody by your side to be able to share this with you, but you are going to need 2 years worth of income, 2 years worth of work history. So let me clarify this. When I say 2 years worth of work history or income, I am stating consistent, right? If you switch from job to job to job to job, I mean that, you know, yes, you sure it was consistent, but the lender is probably going to be looking at it like, okay, well, this person likes to change jobs, which may not be good, right? You're probably still getting qualified. They probably just look at you like they side eye you essentially. But this, it's all about stable, right? As long as you're able to keep everything stable, keep everything consistent, that is great, and that's full time, right? 2 years worth of full time. If it's part time, generally speaking, they're gonna want to see at least 3 years. So unless if that has changed, which I don't know if it has. If it's changed, I'm pretty sure it's going to probably go up. If it went down, that'd be actually pretty good if it did. But as far as what I know, the last that I was told, 3 years. And of course, they're going to need verified income, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. Get away from the cash, put in the cash, and paying things with cash. Putting cash under your mattress. We got to get rid of that that bad habit, because that's money that essentially can't be used, right? If it can't be sourced, it can't be used, which is unfortunate because a lot of people don't even know that. And then, of course, as I was mentioning all throughout, when it came down to debt to income, you want to lower that. I think that's one of the biggest things that is hurting a lot of individuals when it comes to qualification and getting a mortgage, is their debt to income is too high. So some of the things that can impact your debt to income: if you get another loan, you open up another credit card, those are really going to be the two things. Student loans actually have a factor. I did say loans in itself, so that categorize that in itself. But if you are concerned about your debt to income, I will say FHA does allow for a little bit a higher debt to income. So if you're concerned about it, you can't always look at FHA. Just know you're going to have to deal with PMI for the life of the loan. So just be ready for that. Another thing to help yourself position yourself, and this is kind of like a checklist, right? So I mean, you can write this stuff down as I'm kind of just mouthing off about it. You're gonna need your funds for down payment and closing costs. The only one you probably won't need down payment for, well, probably you won't need your down payment for, is VA and USDA. Those two are 100%, unless if you decide to put your own monies down, or maybe you're buying multiple properties, then, or not multiple properties, but that's pretty cool. You're buying more than one, like a secondary, then one of the two may actually require you to do so. And then it states here, right, a clean or explainable credit report. So as I mentioned, it's important to have a clean one, because you really don't know. You really don't know what's on there until you go ahead and take a look at it. But let me know if you guys have any questions. I hope you guys have been liking this information I'm sharing with you guys, because this is all fresh and this is all new. So there's going to be a lot of changes, I'm sure, that I'm going to have to update you all with. Be sure to like this video, share this video with whoever it is that you know may be in the market right now, just to let them know, like, hey, this is the time to get yourself ready. I mean, this is legitimately, like, if no one does anything now, I mean, at that point, y'all just don't want no home. Y'all don't want ownership. Y'all don't want a piece of the land. Y'all just talking. That's it. Y'all just talking. And I'm here to assist you guys, help you guys, make sure you guys understand what's going on, to be able to position yourself, right? Again, if you want to take advantage, you want to have an edge in whatever real estate market cycle, this is the place to be. This is the place. Whether it's my live streams, my videos, I'm dropping gems, constantly. You just got to catch them. That's the hard part, right? Sometimes I'll say things with no intention. I was like, wow, that was very valuable information. I hope it didn't go over people's heads. So if any of this information went over your head today, I'm giving you an opportunity I'm opening up the gate for you all to share whatever question you have, to be able to disclose whatever it is. If no questions come in, then what I'll do is, just as I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you missed it, which if you did, that's unfortunate, but the you're now able to use your rental payments as a way to qualify you for a mortgage. So just make sure your credit just make sure your rental payments is being reported to your credit so that you can it does pop up on your credit report to take advantage of it. If you don't do that, then the only other way that I think it will be possible to do so is through bank statements. So just constantly showing that the money has been withdrawn on a regular basis will be able to. You should be able to. And again, it's all going to depend on the lenders and how they specifically want to go about doing this and what their requirements are going to be. So I'm just giving you hypotheticals of how this all can go and how you could really prepare yourself. Because again, a lot of landlords, which are probably going to be mom and pops, private, they're not going to, they probably don't even know about this. Which if they don't know about it, I wonder if it's an additional cost. Because if it is, then that's going to suck. They're just going to pass it down to the renter. But in the meantime, as I mentioned a little earlier, we had information about cryptocurrency being incorporated as an asset for single family loans. Where if this is the case, well, this is an opportunity, right? Not financial advice, but if you have cryptocurrency, this might be the time to go find it. Might be the time to see what's going on with it. Because if they can incorporate this, which, honestly speaking, and this is a hot take, how many people? Yeah, okay, yeah, not too many people here right now. So, if you stay to this point, I'm going to say, if cryptocurrency really becomes something that they use to qualify individuals on, given how volatile cryptocurrency is, I think it's going to be bad. Again, I don't know what's going on. Again, it goes back to when you put your hand in the pot and everybody starts to stir it around, something is going to break. And I think this could be one of the biggest red flags. Probably is great, right? I think it's phenomenal if someone can source it and say, yeah, I had cryptocurrency and I've just taken it out of there to put as a down payment, closing costs, or their due diligence or inspection, whatever. But the second I think they start using this to be like qualifying individuals, oof, that's gonna be scary. And this is Mr. Polte. If you guys don't know him, he's the FHFA director. So he's calling the shots, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited, but I don't know how excited everybody should be. Oh, brethren. And I can share another update with y'all. There it goes. I really didn't want to do that. But this is new too, right? This is just a bill. This is just conversation. So we'll see how far this actually goes. But there's plans to eliminate the home equity tax. Now if that actually occurs, that will probably free up some inventory in terms of allowing some sellers to be like, you know what, now I have a reason to sell because I know I'm not going to pay the IRS an arm and a leg to be able to just sell my home. And here are some owners. Where are owners over the exclusion limit? So if you guys don't know, I think it's $250 if you're single, where you don't have to pay taxes on that in terms of capital gains, and $500 if you're married. But consult with your tax professional. I am not an expert in that field or industry at all, so I am not your person on that one. But here's where owners are over the exclusion limit. Right, so we have a lot of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, California, of course, all the high and expensive areas that are over it. All right, so it's going to impact these markets more and more. It's not going to even impact everywhere. So that's definitely something to consider and think about. You know what I mean? But no questions came in. You guys must all be smart. You guys must all know what's going on in this real estate world. You guys probably are all tapped in like, yo, Ronnie, come on, we know all this stuff already. And if that's the case, man, shout outs to y'all, every single one of you guys. But let me know if you guys are on the replay. Don't forget, I do this. I try to do this every Wednesday, but more or less, I'm doing this twice a month on the Wednesdays. You'll see it if you just come to my channel. I generally will have the live stream already prepared so that you can see if I'm doing it or not. Oops. You can see if I'm doing it or not. But if you guys do need any connections, you guys need any of my relationships with any real estate agents that I already do have, or you just need someone that's going to really take care of you in your local market, this is your opportunity to go ahead and click that link in the description. And then once you click that link in the description, let me go ahead and show y'all what y'all could do. Because after you click the link, I don't want you to be like, okay, well, what's next? So once you click the link in the description, it should take you to this page. If you click the right one, it should really only be one of them. But you do that, you press let's chat, you complete this entirely. This is going to enable me to know exactly who you are, what you need help with, what market you're looking in, how is it that you need any assistance, and so on and so forth. Once you do that, I'll be in touch with you within 24 to 48 hours, and we'll have a nice, quick conversation. Just to kind of confirm and just give myself a little bit more clarity on what exactly you meant once you completed all that, to be able to connect you to the best person. Because yeah, you'll find out real quickly. You get tapped into the wrong real estate agent, you may actually get trapped. Actually, I had a unfortunate. Oh man, I was so sad when this happened. I met with this individual not too long ago, and they traveled actually to North Carolina to be able to purchase. And by law, there's certain things that you just need in place to be able to go ahead and purchase with the real estate agent, and unfortunately they were just not ready. So they traveled. I mean, we're talking, they actually flew, right? I don't think they drove in. They actually flew. So they spent all that time, all that money to get nowhere, right? And sure, we could blame each other. I mean, I'll take the fall for it, whatever. But it was unfortunate to see that experience happen. I don't want y'all to do that, because that's a lot of money that you're dishing out just to get nowhere, right? Not even to establish your goal. So the earlier you do it, the earlier you prepare yourself you start this process, you just start having these conversations, whether you're ready to move the needle tomorrow or not, right? The earlier you start these conversations, you'll at least position yourself to be ready to go ahead and take advantage. But if no other questions came in, I'll double check once more. No other questions came in. Y'all stay blessed. I do have another live stream coming. Let me see if I can give you guys a little bit of insight of what that's going to be all about. If I already had it scheduled. I don't think I had it scheduled on YouTube, but at least what my thought process were. So it's talking about where our price is headed in your specific area. I probably won't talk about that just because, I shared some of that with you already. And if you didn't see it, didn't see it. But if you didn't see it, here. I'll bless you one last time since you stayed to the end. So take a screenshot of that just so you can take advantage of whatever market that you're in, and specifically being in these markets that have motivated sellers. So if you're in any of these markets, be sure to negotiate, get concessions. If you can, get concessions for repairs, get concessions even when you put an offer in, and try to go right back in there and get some more. That's your opportunity to get greedy. But with all that being said, no questions came in, so I'm out of here. Y'all enjoy, y'all stay blessed, but let me know if there's anything y'all need.